Welcome to Thinking Design Podcast episode 5. This is your host Vedant Sharma and today's guest is Mohan Chinnasamy. Mohan Chinnasamy is an industrial designer and an alumni of NIT. He has taught at various institutions, namely Accessory Design at NIFT New Delhi, Visual Communication at CSI Bishop College of Arts and Science, and currently Industrial Design at DJ Academy of Design Coimbatore. For a few years, he even had his own school with a unique education system. In this episode, we discuss the relevance of industrial design, its problems, and the real role of designers. How did you stumble into design?
Actually, that's the right word. I actually stumbled into design because I'm from Coimbatore, from this place only, and a place that probably had least exposure of a number of courses, programs, colleges available in the north. One fine day, my dad's friend was here from the US, and his name is Jaychandran. He saw my paintings, and every time when a guest comes in, that's what we do, right? Go show them all the skills that your children have. So my dad did that too, and he said, "You're so good in drawing and painting, so what are you planning to do?" Of course, my father jumped in and said, "Medicine. I want him to become a doctor." I had no clue. We were too innocent about all these things. I used to do a lot of take Fevicryl and used to do a lot of textile patterns and motifs on screens. So all this work, and my t-shirt used to have this British Airlines or Singapore Airlines logos done on it and all that. Seeing all these things, he said, "Why don't you check out this place? I'll give you a contact person." Alamelu Venkatachalam, she was doing second year product design at the time at NID. And he said, "You talk to her. I think, if I remember right, she was telling me that drawing is an important skill for joining this college and there is textile design and all that stuff. When you come back, you have LFW, textile industry. It will be a perfect match for you and all that." So with all these ideas, I still didn't have any idea about what design would be. But then I had this view that, okay, somebody will teach me how to make textile patterns and beautiful motifs, and that's what I thought, because that's when he told me about all these things. So then I applied, and even before I got my +2 results, which was very disastrous, I got a call letter from NID saying that you are through and you should be joining. So that's how I really fell into this design. But actually speaking, I couldn't have had any other option either. With the marks that were there in +2, engineering and medicine was a clear out. So then it could have been. I got almost a welcome admission in College of Arts, Chennai, from the principal of College of Arts at that time, saying he conducted a workshop, a portrait workshop, and we were all part of it. And he said, "You're good. I'm giving you a seat right away. Why don't you join?" So then it is after 10th standard. But then my father told me not to stop at 10th standard, that I had to finish +2. So then life changed. So till I went there, and even after I went there, probably even now, I still have no idea of what this is all about. It's quite weird.
How has design changed your life? Like your lifestyle in general?
Truly, more than the product design part of it, the living there and the exposure there and the kind of criticism that I got from people around me, my classmates, 7 of them in product design, and the others actually made me sensitive to other people to start with. That there is another person and he has a viewpoint, he has a perspective. It's important to respect that. Agreeing, not agreeing is your interest. But then allowing him to express that and appreciating that is important. That, I think, is core strength, because when I returned back after 15, 17 years back to Coimbatore, many of my views, many of my relatives could not accept. If I said, "No, it's all right, he can also do it, or she can also do it, or you can call me Mohan or whatever," they were not able to simply accept this. How can that be? You are elder and they are junior. They have to listen to you. A lot of such things. We are going to one place. We have to accept the norms of that place. So a lot of these strings, a lot of these customs that I broke. But initially, it was very insensitively done by me when I came back from NID. Very rebellious it was. But then later I started doing it in a very subtle way. It wouldn't be jarring. This place made me sensitive to the opposite sex. Something I found, I shouldn't be talking about others, but I can talk about my relatives. Among the relatives, I saw how a husband and wife would behave. How much freedom a wife had in a house. I could see that. So coming from that place, from that kind of an environment, I should compare only that. That's what is rightly correct. So I probably would have been one of those people only. So I'm sure this place changed me completely. I realized that family is not a one-man show. So I cannot be sitting there and bossing around things. So learning to live with marriage-like scene is a lot of commitment, and you cannot say I can only do this way and do it this way. You cannot do that, right? You have to adjust, accommodate. I think all of it NID made me very sensitive. I can't say it is design learning, but everything about that place. It is partly design learning also, because you are learning to empathize with your user, with your consumer. So you end up applying that to life too. And thanks to my classmates, because I was very, very innocent, not having traveled anywhere apart from Coimbatore. And I go there, people are talking about high-fi fundas in design. I don't even know that. And I couldn't even speak English. Probably, even though I was in written exam, probably I was school first in English. But I could not speak one word in English when I was asked to make a presentation by, I remember this faculty called Augusti Thomas. And he said, this is a class on presentation techniques. So each one of you can take a topic and make a presentation. So my topic was astronomy. And 1 week of presentation. It used to happen only once every week. The whole semester it used to happen. So the next week, I am the first person to make a presentation. And I went and stood there. I had a lot of visuals, all painted, sun, moon, earth, this, that, celestial bodies, Milky Way, all of it. I went there and stood, looked at the class, and I didn't have a word to say. Even though astronomy has been my favorite subject for years before that, 7-8 years before that particular point of time. And I couldn't speak a word when I saw the class, 30 students sitting in front of me. And my classmates and other guys coming from Tamil Nadu helping, giving me one word. Hey, so you can say this. Hey, you can say that. Remember, you can say something. Astronomy, I just went on stammering like this. And Augusti Thomas told me that, okay, fine, 3 minutes is over. We can go to the next person. So he told me, okay, at the end of the 30th presentation, we'll give you one more chance to make another presentation. Why I had to acknowledge them? Because all these guys sitting around me actually made me probably paved the path for me being what I am today in design education side. Because I used to wonder how these guys can know all these things. How did these guys know? Where did they learn it from? How can they speak like that? My own classmate, Augustin Vikram, he used to come from Kunur. Of course, he studied in very, very big shot colleges. So his mother is an English teacher. So his English was stunning. So his articulation is so amazing. I was so damn scared of how a number of these guys could talk so beautifully and articulate so nicely about any subject they took. During that presentation techniques course, number of other topics are also there. They used to talk so nicely about it, so beautifully. So over the next 6 years of my presence there with all these guys really shaped me. I don't know if I gave them anything in return. Probably taught them a little bit of drawing maybe. But
what made you jump into being a design educator rather than a designer?
Conflicts basically. Whether industrial design is relevant, and if should I be, till I get a clear yes on it, should I be practicing it? And this is on one side. I was always interested in education, which is why I was running a school for 7 years. When I first I was running a design firm for 2-3 years. This was the time when you were thinking, oh, I can change this world with design. Full energy in the blood, and you were going to do this work. And a lot of work we did for 2 years in Madras with my classmate Vaidyanathan and Rajivan. And after that, I got a call from NIFT Delhi from again, as I told you, my classmates shaped me a lot. My classmate Sharik calls me and says, why don't you come and handle design process for NIFT Accessible Design students? And I jump at it and say, yeah, that's a very good opportunity. I go there. And 3 years of accessory design education, quite different from product design education. Product design and design education at NIT is talking about being sensitive to materials, environment, etc., 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 etc. And that itself already was in a bit of a conflict. And I go to accessory design, which is like, forget all about environment, forget about this, forget about that. A user has an aspiration, you just cater to that aspiration. And that was like fashion accessories and all, on the other end altogether. So, at that time, I'm talking about my mindset at that time, I said, I got a chance to, through UNDP program, I got a chance to go study something relevant to accessory design so that I could come back and teach at NIFT. So I went to US. I used to walk by to the college where I was studying jewelry manufacturing technology, GIA, Gemological Institute of America. I used to see these 3 or 4 beautiful, nice schools where children were doing a lot of playful activities, and it was not like our school at all. And for years I've been thinking schooling is a good place, and all that, but I didn't get a catch on anything. I could never think that I could go and do schooling like that. But I used to walk on this road platform every time, and I saw these kids doing very interesting stuff. I said, what if I start a school? This is what I should. Then over a period of 11 months of my stay in US, I almost confirmed. I said, I'm not going to go back to teaching fashion accessories. Definitely not. But there is a contract. I have signed a contract saying that I should work for NIFT for 3 years, which I did recently. 2001 to 2004, I completed that contract. But for a long time, I took a break saying that I'm not going to go back to fashion accessory teaching anymore. During my system design project with Mr. Vinay Kumar, I worked on a project for designing the second class train compartment. A number of issues finally dropped down to, management on one side, resources on one side, product design, hardware design on one side. And finally, with all these things, there is no guarantee that the user will use it properly. It all boiled down to culture and a good education, and that ended up being the foundation. So these thoughts were going on in my mind. I said, what am I doing with product design? The question lasted forever. And I said, no, if education will make a change, I will work there. Is where I landed upon running a school for 7 years. So I started the school, and just by thinking of what was going on in the windows that I saw in the US and stuff like that, and of course with a good with design, of course you could step into any space and work out, right? So my target was, what should education be for children? That was the problem statement. I started there, started working on it, and run a school. I think that was the best time in my life, 7 years. Enjoyed running the school. My target was to take it to 12th standard, but for various political reasons and stuff like that, what was happening in the society also, I had to almost stop it and take up some other work and get on with it. That's how it came to an end. The schooling business came to an end. At least real physical school came to an end. But this education space was what was always interesting to me. So while I was running the school, I got this chance to teach at Viscom NCSA Bishop Upaswamy College. I was there in 3 years teaching photography, graphic print production, and computer software courses. But I used all this opportunity to basically teach design. If there was a small space available, gap available, I would give them a design process input, ideation techniques and stuff like that. If there is a conflict with designing products which you think is not right to do, then what do you do? You're stuck somewhere. You have to keep your life moving. So I thought, okay, I might as well teach design better than that other evil. Then the conflict is then that way you are contributing to more people doing that evil stuff, right? So I answered this myself by saying that no, I can use the same opportunity to also influence people to not go into industrial design for industry. You can influence them to move on to other spaces of design. Design applied to education spaces or schooling spaces, a number of other places where it will be design thinking will be very relevant. That's how I thought I'll stick to only design education.
How do you see design education and its various applications in the future?
The conflict, I go back to this conflict again. If one is asked to design a tractor, I go ahead with designing a tractor, but only to realize genuinely tractor is not the solution for it. Earthworm is the solution for it. So if going by NID's prospectus saying that design will improve the living conditions of a person. By designing a tractor, am I really improving the quality of life? I am not. By designing a chair, the way the chairs are today in the mess, or as long as I'm designing a WC, right? A number of products like this, the way they are, as long as I'm designing that, I'm not really improving the quality of life. So what is the solution for tractor design? Tractor design solution is tractor should not be there. And I know that. So why am I then designing the tractor then? On what basis am I designing the tractor? There's a conflict. So now that it has come to me as a job, there are two ways of looking at it. One is I can say, no boss, tractor is not good for the earth. It's not good for the farmer. It is what has resulted in the Jallikattu problem that we are seeing today. It's a large problem it has resulted in. When it started, it wasn't. Nobody saw this, but today it has become a large problem. And every farmer is slowly realizing that this is a blunder that he did. Two ways of looking at this project. One is I can say no to this project. Other is to take up the project and say, okay, I'll make sure, because if you leave it, somebody is definitely going to do it. But if at least I can tell myself this much, that if I do it, I will ensure it will be as much as possible friendly to the earth, green friendly. My view is, I don't mind a washing machine, but I definitely mind the housing for the washing machine. I don't need the housing for the washing machine. If you can cut down 500 rupees for that and give me just the bare machine, that's what I would love to have. So part of the industrial design is gone for 6 already. So with this, if design will look at, I don't know who will then look at this, but if design starts looking at solving the problem genuinely in its root cause, then I will appreciate, and I'd love to be in the space of design and practice of design. But until then, I feel we are just fooling ourselves.
Human beings, we in general are intrinsic to design, and there's a specific word, Jugaad, for that. If that is there, do we really need design education?
My father is he lost his right leg. He's an amputee. He uses prosthesis now. He lost his leg when he was going in a car for a class on yoga. He's an art of living teacher. So he was going to Gobichetipalam, 2.5 hours from here. And there's a highway kind of a space. And he probably must have felt a little sleepy. Suddenly he saw a goat jumping from the left to the right, and he was not okay enough to sort of manage the scene. He wanted to avoid the goat, and he turned right. And as soon as he turned right, he ran into the right hand side of the road, the opposite road, and he ran into he ran into a stay wire of an electrical post, and beyond that it's an omni, the omni that you guys must have seen in my place. He went up into a tree, and that's basically how it was smashed. The right leg was completely smashed off till the waist pelvic bone. He had to go for processes and all that stuff. Before that, the kind of stuff that he used to make for himself, all at home, he will not simply keep quiet. He was a teacher, headmaster in a school, and my mother was a teacher. He would not sit quiet at all. He'll keep making something on with it. He will make a cot of his own, or if there is need to be making a structure for holding 3 pots together, he will make it himself. He'll buy metal, he will beat it, he will bolt it, all that he will do. And after he lost his leg, a number of equipments, he loves working in the field, which is why part of the reason I moved into a space which has 1.3 acres land, and he will also be loving to work in a space like that, because earlier he was also an agriculturist, farmer. So after he lost his leg, he could not really do a number of activities that he was doing earlier. But he didn't sit quiet. He modified all those equipments to suit himself. He modified all the equipments. The hoe he modified the crowbar, he modified a number of walking things, a number of other things he modified to suit his, for example, the place where he would sit and have his meals, he changed it to suit himself. So he will not sit quiet at all. But that is innovation. That is a quality all of us have. Probably sometimes encouraged more, sometimes discouraged, whatever it may be. We all have it by default. That's problem solving is innate into all animals. Design differs when I start doing it thinking about the other person. My father does it for himself, right? So he is okay with it. But when I have to take it and give it to another amputee, it doesn't work for him. His body dimensions are different, his requirements are different, his outlook is different. So then comes the story of design, because it doesn't stop with just innovation. My father innovates a lot, but he doesn't design. You see the difference? The difference is that I take his innovation and I make that innovation accessible to a number of other people who lost their legs. And they can also then work in the farmland or do their meals or a number of other activities. I think then I'm talking about design. This is how I see difference between what you said is Jugaad. Yeah.
So what kind of industrial design do we need in the country today?
Truly speaking, I'm possessed with this thought that it's not needed. It's not needed. I'm possessed with this thought. Maybe there can be a lot of arguments against it, but I feel okay. There was this gentleman called Laurie Baker. He made low-cost housings. You must be familiar with it already. In Kerala, as an architect, he came to Kerala. He questioned a number of things. He said, "Why are we plastering a house? The plaster that you see here on the brick wall, it's used for covering it up and give a nice finish, so-called, and all that." He questioned that. He said, unnecessarily huge amount of plaster and cement mortar standing up there. Why do we need that? Take it off. Okay, it was meant to keep the rain and sunlight bothering the brick masonry. But he came up with another solution. He said, let's give it a nice hat. He refers to the roofing as a hat. Give it a nice large hat and give the house a good boots, right? Waterproof boots. And your house is safe. So he went with this simple philosophy, and he removed that damn mortar away. So he removed the mortar that way he saved the material for the environment, right? He saved labor, which is an unnecessary expense for the person who's building the house. And he used a Rattrap construction technique with which he saved 30% of the brick that was used for making a given size of room. 30% from the conventional way of building a house. And what did he achieve by removing material and by removing labor? What did he achieve? He achieved a beautiful looking house which is craze in Kerala today. He achieved a stronger wall after removing 30% of the bricks from it. What would you call that? That, if it translates into industrial design, that will be amazing. In other words, he reduced money, he reduced the material, he saved it a lot for the environment, he was sensitively handling material. He said, material belongs to other animals too, other plants too. I am taking it. All right, at least be careful with it. If you're using it, think 10,000 times. Do you need to keep it there? Then keep it. But think of alternative ways of doing it. If you don't need to take that material, please don't take that material, because it belongs to a number of creatures, the worms and insects and plants, animals, all of them living there. You have no business to take it. But, well, we are already into that culture or habit of building our own houses. For example, he starts with saying, if there is already a house that you can buy and use it, use it. Do that. Don't design or build a house newly, because it's not fair on the environment. But if you have to, then he says, be very, very rational about it. That, with all that rationality, he brought in houses that are stunningly beautiful. He says, why do you need a door inside your own house? Why do you need privacy for a bathroom? Put a fabric there. If the fabric is full, somebody is occupying it. And keep the tap open. If the water is falling, somebody is occupying it. If it's not, nobody is occupied it, you can walk in. Why do you want to put a door there? A door costs 6,000, 7,000 rupees. And wood that comes from a tree. You have no business to take that tree unless and until you can justify that. So he said, no, don't put a door there. For safety, you can put a door, the main door. After you come into the house, the rest of the rooms don't need a door. Chuck it. Amazing. That, if we can bring into design, industrial design, we would start questioning why every year we are changing a cell phone. Every year, because it stops working after a year. Whose copper and brass are we taking and just chucking like this? We are mining tons and tons of it. Now US is done with it, and I think it's taking from other countries. Whose material are we taking? We don't even ask any other animal, are you okay me taking this material? You're so damn insensitive. Having come to the fact that we are going to use it, can we at least be sensitive enough to use it till its last breath? So, if I can live without the aesthetic appeal of the washing machine, I can. I have convinced myself to live without. So, I don't want the sheet metal housing on it. Give me the bare minimum machine, because of the time. And in fact, recently my thoughts are more into, okay, we've got a machine, we are going to use it, but are we going to buy the next machine? I'm already thinking that I should not. So I'm going to go slowly start getting rid of the machinery that I have, unless and until I can justify it in another way. For example, if I buy a tiller, it costs about 60,000 rupees. If I buy a tiller, by that, if I can till the land and grow more organic produce for myself and for the others who can buy from me, if it justifies buying the tiller, then yes. Because I don't want to take a bull and push him into doing activities that I am benefiting from. How fair is that to make a bull plow my land? Is he meant for doing that? We have made him do the damn thing. So that's not fair. Then what else? I should plow it, till it myself, and if that's going to take too much time, or probably not possible with the hardness of the land that is there, till I bring in earthworm and make it soft, natural cycle, till I do that, probably a tiller is needed. Maybe I will till. I need such justifications for buying products that I'm buying. Otherwise, I don't want to change a phone or change a camera or change my laptop or whatever, because the other one is a little faster and it's got an extra USB port and it's got a biometrics or whatever. I'm already not convinced of owning these machineries anyway.
What do you think is missing from industrial design education today?
The search for seeking genuine problem solving. 4 years back, two incidences. One, Rishabh was working on a project on water purifier, and the project was given to him to discover. The intention was to discover that water purifier is actually bad for health, and he discovered it, and he came up with a solution which doesn't use any of the principles of water purifier. It goes back to what was being traditionally practiced 400,000-500,000 years back, which is simply terracotta, silver, copper as an alternative, but terracotta, to be simple enough, is more than enough to take care of the contents of the water and give you a wonderful drinking water. Of course, we are threatened with things like the rivers are already flooded with, polluted with a lot of metal effluents from the industries, which can be leads and stuff like arsenic, which can be harmful to the body. But this is like a blanket beating story, Somewhere some rivers may be polluted, but knowing that, I threaten every one of you. Say that, hey, there's a problem with the water, and convinced you that you have to drink purified water only. And I'm sure you guys cannot accept water from anywhere else from this inside this campus. But I tell the akka who brings water for me, I tell her, just bring it straight from the tap out there. Please don't get me this purified water. I tell her very clearly. I keep it either in a copper container or a terracotta container. I'm sure you must have seen it. At home also, wherever we go, we don't go for this Bisleri waters or purified waters or any kind. We simply take the water from the road and I give it to my children. I have not seen them fall sick one day because of this reason. Right? The second is, I once had a team of students for TCP. I said, let's go to a village place for a week. And all of us would be there and figure out, just be with them, like living with people, and look at these technically complex project-like interventions from that space. And from there we will start. It will be very interesting. Why should I keep giving projects? A week passed by. I was just shocked to know that the team came back and said, actually, we didn't find anything really needing TCP-like project and this. A number of views came up. I was shocked to know that in a space that we are not familiar with, we are not even capable of identifying meaningful design problems, usability problems, and cater to that. And that's a batch that we, Kanaka and I, dealt with design process. Then it sort of came to my mind, what did we do? There's a problem somewhere, So answering your question directly, if this orientation changes to answering genuine needs, do I need a water purifier? Please don't design a water purifier because I'm getting a project on designing water purifier. There are two ways of doing it. Doing it without awareness that water purifier is not needed. Doing it with the awareness that what you're designing is not needed for the society. Once I can't take the company name because this is going to go into the web. Once a company came, salesman came to my school when I was running the school, and he says, sir, you definitely need a water purifier, sir. You have... He first asked me about a vacuum cleaner. I said, I have a vacuum cleaner. So then he said, water purifier? I said, I don't know how water purifier. So he said, sir, can I come into the school for 2 minutes? I said, yeah, please come. So I invited him. He was sitting there for 45 minutes. 2 minutes became 45 minutes. We were talking about design and marketing and sales and this and that, the other. So he started with saying that, sir, so many children are there, 85 children are there, and you were giving them water. If only you give pure water like this from this machine, all the parents will be happy and they'll be thrilled and stuff like that. 45 minutes later, he said, sir, please don't take my name anywhere. Don't take this company name anywhere. But genuinely, this is not good for you. That's what he said. This is what is not good for you. Both. Not only this, he confessed that even the vacuum cleaner is not good for you. Till then he was trying to sell, you can take the small little mites from the screen, and the upholstery sofa that you are sitting in, it can take the dust away from that, so you won't get allergy. I said, that is what causes allergy. If you're going to keep a very clinical environment, you're going to leave the human being into more of a trouble. He is going to live his life with a mask on his face. He agreed to me. He said, actually, we know it is not good. I agree with you completely, sir. Sir, thanks for spending 45 minutes. He got up and went away. Now, are we, after knowing that this is what these products are doing, am I going to really design a vacuum cleaner with this awareness? From there, I realized that, my job is actually not good. Design is not to be in industrial design side, but better be in communication design side, wherein I can tell people not to use a vacuum cleaner, not to use a refrigerator, not to use a water purifier. This is probably what I should be really doing. I think but I get to do that when I am handling a class in a design school. Wherever I go, even in a small workshop that I do with people coming from entrepreneurship workshops and PhD tech schools and stuff like that, I make sure there is an opportunity to tell them that genuine design, as opposed to the practice of design, this orientation shift is definitely required. I cannot be simply designing just because I want to compete in the market and come up with a new model in the market. And whose material am I taking and making a model out of? Mindless it is. You know the story with the computer chips, right? With even a 5-core and a 7-core, i5, whatever these things are, these speeds are, it's a matter of simply reprogramming. But is this how it is told to us? They very well know that this is not required. This is what I understand from many tech books, reading some tech books, that it's often not required to throw the whole machine away, and one can improvise the machine the way it is, and only after good improvements are done, a model should be introduced. But today we see how many vehicles are there, how many scooters are there. Each one, little incremental change, probably not even relevant, but there is a new model. And the consumers are pushed to consume and consume and consume. Not fair on that side. So, design, after having said that I will improve the quality of living, at least should take the effort to stick to its words.
What are your sources of inspiration and how have they evolved so far?
As far as my close to my heart is painting. My source of inspiration as far as painting is concerned is realism and Da Vinci. Da Vinci's portrait of Mona Lisa, and I'm forgetting the artist's name. I saw a painting of Thez bathing, done about 600 years back. I saw it in Hyderabad, the museum. I see that painting there, and I was stunned. Of course, I've seen other paintings in the museums, Louvre Museum and all that stuff, but this one, I was stunned looking at that painting. 550, 600 years back, a painting with such realism. It was just amazing. She's standing in a bathroom which has got these tiles, and tiles have a peculiar nature of collecting a certain kind of a stain where the joints are, where the joints happen, square tiles where the joints happen. It has a peculiar nature to accumulate stain, because tiles, when they manufacture, they curve towards the edge. Where the edge reaches, it curves because of the heating process and all that. From that detail to the veins that you can see on a typical Aryan body, right? Aryan body type of fair-skinned body, to the hair that's there on her. Oh my goodness! I don't know what paint he used and what for it to stay for 500 years. Not even a little bit is disturbed. So beautifully done. What brushes he must have used. This on one side is many inspiration when it comes to painting. Design, not really inspired because probably design teaching inspirations are people like Balram, Sethuraman, and Suresh Emanuel, Vinay Kumar are my inspirations. People like Sethuraman are people who made us. Any of this faculty. I can't take just any one name. Balram or Vinay Kumar or Sethuraman or Suresh Emanuel, my teacher Padmarajan at Coimbatore School, any of these people made us, gave us a thinking process which was, I think, which we are simply revisiting them every time when we take a class. All this gave us a wonderful foundation. When we were doing system design, for example, I remember Sethu asking me that everything is okay, but do you know what system design means in your mother tongue? And all of us were just stunned. I said, come on, man, 4th year, we had not even given one thought to it. That what is it in my mother tongue? What is design in my mother tongue? We don't care a damn. We were like that. But of course, it was a 6 years program, a 5.5 years program at the time. I was the first 5-year batch. So 4th year sometime is system design, and the next 1 year or 1.5, next 2 years, I was there for 6 years. Next 2 years, we were lost in this the philosophical side to thinking about design. So in my view, this 4 years is just not enough for really digesting what design is. It's very much like, getting somebody prepared to go and sit in the industry. The real essence of design happens the 4th year, end 5th year, and into the 6th year. Because after a point you say, no, I got to figure out something before I leave at anyone. And people sit there for years. Crazy it is.
We'll end with any book recommendations.
Can I narrate a small incident?
Yeah, of course.
Long back, this is answering the question on what design school did for you. But I'll connect this to the last question also. Long back, it's 1985, and this is the orientation program going on for my batch, and we are all, a thin, lean man comes and collects us from our studio and takes us all to the lawn. And we all go to the lawn, we are all sitting there in the lawn, and he starts talking about, generally gives a small introduction to NID, and he's talking about NID's, how it formed earlier and all that stuff. Then I had a doubt. So I said, sir, excuse me, sir, can I ask you something? And he is just sitting 5 or 6 feet away from me, and he wouldn't turn back at all. So then my classmates said, Nada, what do you want? So I said, no, I have a doubt to ask him. Sir, excuse me, can I ask you something? And he would still not respond at all. So I didn't know what to do. So I told the other person, somebody was sitting in front of me, maybe Sharbani or Anjali or whatever. I told her, hey, why don't you just call him? I want to ask him something. Then these people must have told him, sir, Mohan has a doubt to ask you. So then he turns around me, and then I said, sir, can I ask you a doubt? I have a doubt to ask you. So he says, no, why were you yelling all this time? Sir. Who's the sir here? My name is Balram. If you call me Balram, I'll respond. If you call me sir, I cannot respond. Only one instance, it shook every other thing that probably ideas, concepts that we had in our mind. Like Vivekananda says, that one incident, one quantum of knowledge. There is this interesting thing that happens in Mahabharata, right? Though I don't accept the Mahabharata story the way it is. But the war is happening, and Arjuna decides not to go for the war, proceed with the war. And Krishna says, hey, look, I'm going to give you a lecture. But if you read the Bhagavad Gita, you cannot imagine that he was lecturing all this when the people were standing ready for a war, right? So it must have happened in a second, right? This is what we should infer from it. that it should have happened in a second. From Krishna to Arjuna, the knowledge must have transferred, the concepts must have transferred in a second, or probably in 2 seconds. Couldn't have taken more than that. I connect this in 1 second, he just broke the ideas, concepts, the fabric that we all have lived with. How can a teacher be called with his name? Shattered all the ideas that we had about life and people and respect and values and this and that, the other. But he himself says, wonderful, wonderful. That was the ultimate, a very, very important milestone among the 4 or 5 milestones in my life. One of them. There are 3 or 4 milestones in my life, and that's one of them. I'm sure it was there. It is the one for others too, because it shook us. I somehow, from the books that we have, I like Design for the Real World by Victor Papnik. Not only for wherein he talks about just bringing a lot of waste paper and leaves and stuff together and light a fire to it and listen to a radio, because how would the village person be capable of going and buying batteries that are 12 rupees or 7 rupees or whatever it is? So have fire, or while you are cooking, which using flame and smokeless chula whatever, you are cooking your meals and you are listening to a radio from the heat that is generated there. Is I think the kind of orientation that I like to sort of follow. All the writings of Laurie Baker is good. Because that has shaken many people in sensitivity to environment and stuff like that. And books, really, I'm not really fond of reading books. I don't know if it's related to my vision problem, but the moment I take a book and if I have to read, I start getting a neck pain and I start watering and all that stuff. There used to be times when carrying design books or heavy funda books like Ascent of Man by Jacob Bronowski or Victor Papnik's books or any of these things, carrying it and walking around in NID, show off business, right, was a damn great thing to do. So unfortunately, the books that were there in my hands were only on plastics. And to top it, I hate plastics today. But there was a time when I was literally mixing every book that I found on plastic and pouring it into my mouth and literally digesting it off, only to say I'm not going to design for plastics anymore. But these books were there in our hands, and at least to show off, we had to read. We will be sitting in the main gate and you'll open this great Funda book on Ascent of Man. Wonderful book to read. An amazing book to read. I got that book, 2-3 of those books, and gifted it to many people. And I've recommended that book to many people. Ascent of Man. Oh, superb book. We have movies also, Ascent of Man. The video material is also there. Life of Da Vinci. I don't know if we have it in the library. Life of Leonardo da Vinci. Then, of course, a lot of series on BBC books on design, because I found watching video is easy for me than reading books. So these are some of them I found wonderful. Ascent of Man is particularly a wonderful book to read. Otherwise, the other books that connect directly to my understanding of why these products have become irrelevant to really a common man, those things have come from my understanding and reading books on the human physiology. It would be weird for many people it would be weird to hear a book like this, but I have a lot of books on human physiology, a lot of medical books on human physiology. Many of them are medical treatment books, some of them are medical books themselves. And all these books, I had bought them to literally understand how the human body works. Then I realized that it has a direct connection to the machines and the products that we're designing, right? It is a direct connection. It is a direct connection. And if I don't know the human body, then how would I design a book, how would I design a product that is meaningful? So I understand, physiologically and anatomically, I understand that wearing a wristwatch can be extremely harmful. Unknowingly, you may be suffering a number of disorders. You will find it the least connection to a wristwatch, or a tight shoe, or even a shoe for that matter, even any shoe for that matter. We will hardly connect this to a footwear. We will hardly connect this to the spectacle that we are wearing. Once my classmate, one of my colleagues, we were in Hosur at the time. I remember he bought a spectacle for 1,800 rupees at that time. For next 1.5 weeks, his face was red. Red. He's a North Indian guy. He was very fair. And he had a lot of red scars all over the face. Simple. Caused by the plating which was there in the frame. But nobody connected it to that. So the products that we have around us have a direct bearing on our well-being. So if a user, a common man, I'm not talking about I may not be concerned so much about an educated man who can make sense for himself. But a good percentage of our population is on the 75-80% side, which needs this knowledge to flow into their life to make sense. So having been given this education by them, it's my business to then return it back to them in a meaningful way. This then moves to other spheres too, understanding the user. So from the human-centered design, I moved on to user-centered design. I don't know how others connect to it. I connect it this way. The user can be even an animal. I am sure we discussed this in DP, right? The user can be an animal. So human factors consideration in design doesn't work if I'm designing a kennel for a dog. Then you test, how can you call a dog a human factor? It cannot be. So then your object of study is the German Shepherd or that particular dog that you are designing it for. So then my search moved on to understanding the physiology of an animal, which is how Ria got this assignment on designing these ropes that people put on cows and animals, cattle, right? And they tie it to the foreleg so that they cannot move easily too far away, or run into somebody and hit them or dash them. So they tie the neck and the leg close to each other so that the animals won't really flee away. But what it does is it creates so much stress on the neck and the backbone of the animal that this pain creates a different chemical reaction all over the body. The milk contains this chemical reaction. This milk contains all these chemicals that are stressing the animal so much. And it affects not only that, it affects not only the milk quality, it also affects the milk quantity being produced if the animal is so much under stress. So I decided to take this to some milkmen, and I tried telling them. Some of them blasted me with foul language, saying that what the F do you know about these things? Just get lost from me. Some of them said, most of them said, but what to do, sir, if it runs and hits somebody? Some of them knew. Probably it is painful. Of course it is painful. Any common man will understand that. He is not doing it with the intention of torturing the animal. But he is doing it because somebody else will come and complain, saying that, why did you leave the animal like this? It ran into me. And so my readings, a lot of my readings were on understanding the human physiology and understanding the human psychology. That is an effort. I don't know when it will end, but we keep observing people. So a lot of my books are on this space. How is the brain really physically? How is the brain made? How does the brain think? And as opposed to the Western thought which says we can separate and understand, I am more for the Indian way of thinking, which is trying to understand the holism, the whole part, than separating. Because often when we separate, we can get lost and we leave it separated, then all these things are just loose ends. We never complete it. Then it becomes what we call as a piecemeal approach. Everything is either done because that's how much you could understand of it and you did it, or that's how much you know of it and so you did it. You never get the larger picture. The study of this anatomy and physiology at one point of time was geared towards keeping a check on what product design I'm doing, what architectural work I'm doing, and all that stuff. Soon I realized that was good understanding. The analysis and the comparisons and the knowledge was wonderful, but I did really miss on the whole story, which is when I started moving into understanding Ayurveda, the Ayurveda understanding of the human body. Then that search resulted into another story, which is Ayurveda. If it came from a country outside, from somewhere from outside, then something must have existed here before that. Then that may push me into thinking about Siddha. Then I said, oh, wow, this is wonderful. Siddha's way of understanding a human body and the life and so on. Then I said, Siddha seems to be talking about cooking here and there and fire and all that stuff, which means that's kind of weird. It seems to be human intervention there. It's still not natural. Then there must have something else must have existed before Siddha. Then it finally landed up into simply being naturopathy, which is what I've moved into the last 2 years of trying to eat uncooked food completely, raw food as it is. Now, what is the connection for that eating habit to design? If I have to cook something, I have to somehow compromise on the environment, either by creating the fire out of the wood or by using gas. How the hell am I justifying moving the gas from all the way from Assam or whatever to this place? Through a cylinder, through a number of other things. And I say, no, I'm trying to be eco-friendly. Nonsense is that. My cooking itself is slashed off the moment I think of the environment. I said, shit man, not for health's sake, for environment's sake, being what we call as dharma, righteousness towards the environment, I shouldn't be cooking. So I said, butcher cooking business completely. That was another reason for. So these things are. I see a lot of connection to design. When we say improving the user's quality of life, we can connect everything that is there on earth to improve the quality of life of a person, and all of it comes into the story. What to do? We cannot stop. So I moved on into reading about all these things, and that gave me a lot of insights. And then I looked back into a number of furniture design. When I read a lot about Siddha way of living and lifestyle and all that, I looked back into a lot of furniture design, and I realized a good lot of furniture design, for example, designed dining tables. A number of people have designed very good dining tables with it. Wood is wonderfully used and the joinery details are wonderful and this and that the other, but sitting on a chair and having meals is fundamentally wrong, undone, not a thing to be done to the human body. Then where is the question of that's a good design, well designed dining table? It just gets over there. So wandering into these books, I realized none of this work. So that's why here and there you see attempts like projects that Arul has done in his diploma project toilet design, or Arul's TCP, which is a cot design. There was a student called one furniture design girl. She designed for her TCP. She designed a cot using wood. And touched upon things like how this manjal kadambu, it's a lot of medicinal value, how to use manjal kadambu and things like neem oil on wood to make a cot a wonderful health wise beneficial product. That is to emphasize, if somebody says, I'll hang you, otherwise you better design a cot, otherwise I'll hang you. then please design a cot like that, which is a cot that can absorb neem oil on it, so that when you are lying down using a cot like that, directly your body is touching either it's a medicinal value wood like manjal kadambu or a neem wood, or even if you put neem oil on it and lay down on it, there'll be such wonderful health benefits on it. So searching over here led to thinking of projects like that. So I guess this would be also relevant all the way.
With this, we come to the end of the 5th episode. You can follow us on Instagram at Thinking Design Podcast for updates and sneak peek of upcoming episodes. Thank you for listening.